"100,000 years ago, the last ice age occurred. The northern hemisphere was covered in ice, and glaciers 2 miles thick flowed across the land, carving out valleys and leveling mountains. Just around 15,000 years ago, the temperatures began to rise, and the ice age grew to an end. As the glaciers began to retreat north and melt, they left behind water in the craters that they had created. Over time, as the glaciers dissipated, we were left with the Great Lakes and the land formations we see today." Hello, my name is Carl, and I will be taking you on an exploration of the Great Lakes region. I will show you why this area is so spectacular and why it is being faced with so many problems. I hope to give you a better understanding of this natural wonder of the world and explain how and why we should take care of it. I've traveled the shorelines of Lake Huron, Erie, and Ontario, and this is what I've learned. So please sit back and enjoy the inspired music and acquire knowledge of my trip through the Great Lakes region. The lakes and their connecting channels contain roughly 1/5 of the world's surface fresh water. Their surrounding lands and waterways are home to over 37 million people and a rich and unique diversity of plants and animals. Lake Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario make up this region, along with 8 US states and 2 Canadian provinces on their shorelines. Altogether, it makes up what we call the Great Lakes Basin. The Great Lakes region has endured a different kind of change in the last few centuries. Agriculture, industrialization, and post-industrialization have transformed the environment and the economy. The landscapes and habitats have been altered to an extreme, and now we must start facing the consequences. The Great Lakes region has confronted climate changes, energy shortages, water contamination, water depletion, pollution, and several other problems over the years. We are going to explore some of these major issues that the region is facing and learn how even a little knowledge about these issues can make a huge difference. In order to take a step in the opposite direction, people need to be aware of the factors causing these issues. There are plenty of techniques that can be exercised that will save our environment and our Great Lakes. Let me first teach you what I've learned about ecology and why it is so important. When you wake up in the morning, do you take into consideration the world's diverse ecosystem and where you fit in it? Probably not. You most likely freshen up, throw on some clothes, grab a bite to eat, and prepare for the day. Do you ever stop and take the time to notice and appreciate the vast populations and communities of species living among us? Insects, plants, animals, microorganisms, fungi, organisms that live in the water, on the land, in the trees, under the ground, in the air, on our skin, and just about everywhere else on this miraculous place they call Earth. Next time you walk outside of your home, I want you to take a deeper look at the world around you. Interactions between the environment and the organisms that live in it. This is what ecology is. These interactions affect the condition of our Earth and everything living on it. The understanding of these interactions are truly important in maintaining a healthy ecosystem. In order to maintain a healthy ecosystem, there must be a balance of biodiversity. The Great Lakes region has a very diverse ecosystem surrounded by the world's greatest natural resource. The region is home to 37 million people that take their resources for granted, people who pollute the waters, irresponsibly develop the land, and diminish wildlife. At one of the wildlife reserves I visited, a wise man said to me, "An ecosystem is like a complex machine. Every part is just as critical as the next. If you remove just one, the entire machine will run faulty or not at all." Another way to show this analogy is a wall of bricks. If you take bricks out one by one, the wall will eventually fall. These situations symbolize the plants, animals, and other organisms that get removed from our environment from human development. In order to keep the ecosystem healthy, we need to keep symbiotic relationships with nature and its wildlife. Let's take a look at what humans have done to our ecosystem over the last century and what they are still doing today. Looks like a nice area to live, with wildlife still in every direction, the sounds of nature, or what's left of it anyway. The modern residential developments are popping up everywhere. During construction, new condominiums and apartments remove miles of home for the natural world. Some of the wildlife will relocate to the closest new home, but the majority will die off. As we decrease the biodiversity in an area, we lose more stability in our ecosystems. This is a pattern that has been occurring for centuries as cultures become more developed. Residential areas turn the natural way of life into the human way of life. The populations in the Great Lakes region rose very rapidly during 1850 through 1890. This is because the lakes and rivers served as a watery highway for immigration and industrialization. As industrialization set in, people needed to live in a designated area. This is why urban cities such as Detroit, Chicago, New York, and many others came to be. So let's take a moment and look at some areas of Detroit and how they have transformed over the years. This is what happened. Where thousands of acres of farmland used to exist, now stands structures that are several thousand feet in the air. A single city with a population of nearly 1 million people. This is the outcome of industry and population growth, and an example of what is happening all around the world. But let's not necessarily look at this as a bad thing. It is inevitable for cities to grow and for urban sprawl to occur. As long as we handle the situation properly, we can keep the water pure, the air clean, and the ecosystem healthy. Water is our greatest resource. The Great Lakes supply 95% of the U.S. fresh water. It is essential that we take care of this source of water in order to sustain and use it. In the past, we haven't been very careful when it comes to the managing of our Great Lakes. Industrial and municipal discharge, spills, landfills, and agricultural runoff all have damaged the Great Lakes water quality. Industries have allowed toxic chemicals, metals, and other dangerous pollutants to enter our lakes, which have adverse side effects when consumed by humans, fish, and other wildlife populations. On June 22, 1969, the Cuyahoga River in downtown Cleveland set fire. It was an event that drew national attention to the Great Lakes water problems. The flaming oil and debris on top of the water was a symbol for the environmental crisis that the Great Lakes faced. This had occurred in many industrial areas over the decades, but the press coverage of this occurrence allowed the public to become aware of national water quality issues. It served as a catalyst for industries and communities to make an ecological impact. In the past 30 years, industries and communities have begun to clean up their act. The government has issued many laws and programs to ensure the safety of our water system. There has been a great increase in water quality, yet we are still facing lake and groundwater contaminations. In a few minutes, you'll see how even you and I can make an impact on Great Lakes water quality. Air quality in the Great Lakes region has some of the greatest effects on our health. The quality is reduced by emissions of fossil fuels and industries. The atmosphere deposits the toxins into the lakes and onto the land. These toxins are believed to be over 80% of the pollutants that are deposited into the lakes. Air quality problem is not a localized one. It needs to be regulated on a regional or even an international level. Programs and regulations have been implemented by the United States and Canada, yet much more needs to be done to improve the quality of air we breathe. The health of fish and other wildlife over the years can show a great deal about our ecosystem. We can see contaminants accumulate in the tissues of the animals over time. These contaminants impair reproduction, consumption, and populations of entire species. One example is the thinning of eggshells in predatory birds. Another would be the developmental deformities of these birds after they hatch. These problems can be related back to contaminated prey lower in the food chain. Humans can accumulate these chemicals in our body the same way birds, fish, and other animals can. We call this bioaccumulation. The Great Lakes habitat looked a lot different hundreds of years ago. Before humans began to exploit every natural resource, ecosystems were pristine. The water and the land were free of pollutants, and wildlife populations were enormous. Now that we allowed industry to prosper and agriculture to boom, the environment began to change rapidly. Air and water quality began to decrease, leading to many environmental issues. The climate began to change, bringing temperatures up and lake levels down. The land has been conquered by development and real estate. We have improperly disposed of waste, which contaminates lakes and groundwater. We have introduced exotic and invasive species that altered interactions between local species. Zebra mussels, lamprey. We have to emphasize that in order to sustain a healthy lifestyle, we have to maintain a healthy, diverse ecosystem. Next, we will take a look at some everyday techniques that individuals can easily practice in order to increase the health of our ecosystem. Pay close attention, because not only can you save the environment, but you can save quite a bit of money by following some of these simple steps. For instance, compact fluorescent lighting takes about 75% less energy than the normal incandescent light bulbs. By replacing one bulb with a compact fluorescent, you can save over $30 in that bulb's lifetime. If every American home replaced just one incandescent light bulb with a compact fluorescent, we would save enough energy to light more than 3 million homes for 1 year. You can reduce your energy bill by about 30% by purchasing energy-efficient products for your home. Energy Star provides the following products. Most of these products will have a label explaining their efficiency. Choosing energy-efficient products is one of the smartest ways consumers can reduce energy use and help prevent greenhouse gas emissions. There are so many things people can do for themselves and the environment to look out for future generations. Like avoid dangerous chemicals for lawn care. Do not put waste chemicals or any toxic materials down the drain or in the sewer systems. Use the proper ways to dispose of them. Recycle. We can recycle paper, plastic, glass, cardboard, aluminum, electronics, oils, and compost. Many cities today have a recycling service where you put out a recycling bin and they come pick it up weekly. Save water and save money doing it. Fixing leaky faucets and pipes can save up to 20 gallons of water a day. Shortening your showers even 1 or 2 minutes a day can reduce your water usage up to 700 gallons per month. Run only full loads in the washing machine and dishwasher. You can save 300 to 800 gallons per month. Last year, Americans spent $11 billion on bottled water. If you drink only one bottle a day, you can save $550 a year by switching to tap water or a new water filter. Just get involved. There's thousands of ways to save money and your environment. As you can see, the Great Lakes region is magnificent. It has experienced some abuse over the last centuries, but with knowledge and implementation of that knowledge, we have begun to conserve our environment. The conservation, restoration, and protection of the Great Lakes wildlife and landscapes are critical in order for future generations to stay healthy and safe. I hope that with your newly acquired knowledge, you will be able to look at the environment in which you live under a different light. I wish that you can appreciate our ecosystem and help in the fight to sustain this important, miraculous, beautiful, resourceful, and necessary region that is called the Great Lakes. So go outside, take a deep breath, enjoy the air that you're breathing in. Enjoy the environment and realize that you are a human being, the world's #1 consumer of energy and resources, the one who pays the bills. You are the organism that can make the greatest impact.